Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? Come on in, everybody. Come on in, everybody. It is you guy, mark my words. Good morning in America, wherever you at. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. All right, it's your boy, Mark My Words. Today, we're going to go through a little Q&A for my guys. Just a couple questions were sent in by a couple of my subscribers, so I appreciate you guys. And we're just going to do some Q&A work today. All right, so put your comments in the chat for me. Put your information in the chat for me. If you have any advice, when I go through these questions, I really like for you guys to chime in and just give me your advice and what you think about, what somebody's saying, what their comments are, what their question is. Give them some advice. Now, it's great when I give advice. Okay, it's great. That's what I do. But it's really, really great when someone can get advice from the other people in the room. So imagine you have an issue, you whatever the issue is, you're getting advice from one person, that's amazing. But if there's 10 more people that can give you some insight, that works out really well. So make sure you put your advice in the comments, man. People going through things, you know what I mean? And they might seem small, but they might be big in their world, might be small in your world, or they are going through a small issue that can turn into something big if it's not handled. All right. So that's why we come on here and talk. Now, if you are not subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so. Make sure you hit the like button as well. When you hit the like button and you subscribe, that just lets me know that everything I'm doing is for the right reason and it's hitting home. So that's the only feedback I'm able to get. All right. Views are great, but when people like the post and they subscribe to the channel, that lets me know that I'm doing the right thing. Also, make sure you hit the notification bell, and so that you can get notification when I go live, when I post a new video, or when I make a new post. All right. So also share the post, because you never really know what somebody's going through, bro. And when you share a post with them, share a video, you share a live even, right, that you got value from, you end up seeing that somebody will come back to you and say, man, did you notice that he said X, Y, and Z? And you might have missed that. You know what I'm saying? And it just goes to show that a lot of times guys will get stuff from a post that you sent them. They will get different things from it than what you got. So it's really helpful when you are able to share the post with somebody that you love, somebody that even you're fond of, bro, or that you want to see do better. Okay. So let's jump right into it, man. We're not going to take all day. Now, normally what will happen is I come on here weekdays at somewhere between 9 and 10 o'clock. All right. So look for me. We'll do a Q&A. And then also sometimes we'll take just an email submission. If somebody has an email submission that's a little bit longer and that might take some time to give some advice on, that's what we'll do. All right. So we're going to get into a lot of things on here. So make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend. All right. Now, I got a few questions. In the description, you will see that my email is there. So coachmark22@gmail.com. That is coachmark with a C at gmail22@gmail.com. All right. So when you hit the email, you can send your question in. You can send your situation in. Hey, Mark, this is what's going on with me. I need some advice on how I can handle this situation. What you will see is that I'm always anonymous. I never use people's names. We're never going to use your location. All right. So you don't have to worry about people perhaps seeing this and knowing that it's you, knowing that you're the person in the situation. So make sure that you understand it's always going to be anonymous. All right. Now, let's get into it. A little hot up here today, yo. All right. Your boy's a sweater. So if y'all see a little sweat trickle down my face, don't get too alarmed. It's just how it is. All right. Nothing's going wrong with me now. So, first question. Hey, Coach Mark, I've been struggling with feeling like I have to constantly prove my manhood to people around me. It's exhausting, and I don't know who I'm trying to impress anymore. Is masculinity something you have to show or something you just live? How do I stop performing and start becoming? How do I start performing and start becoming? All right. Now, let's be clear about something, homie. We've all been there at some point before, even when we were young men, right? So at some point, every man was a young man and he was a boy before that. So at some point, all of us were less masculine than what we wanted to be or needed to be. You understand? So you're not alone, bro. A lot of us go through that in life. Depending on certain situations, you feel like your manhood is not intact. You feel like your masculinity is at a low level. You feel like you're not operating how you should be operating, right? And so you are not alone. Many men go through this type of phase, including myself, bro. So when you feel like you're always having to prove your manhood, there's a couple things. Number one, the people that you're having to prove your manhood to, you have to assess who these people are and what they mean to you. Okay. What I found is that the people I'm always having to prove myself to are not worthy of me proving myself to. Right. I know that was like it's like a little talking in circles a little bit, but you have to understand that we're always trying to impress these people who don't mean that much, bro. And I'm telling, a lot of times they're related to us, but just because they're blood to you doesn't mean you have to prove yourself, right? Prove yourself for what? So if you proved yourself, you proved your manhood to them, and they said, wow, you're a man. What do you get in return for that? You don't get anything, bro. These people aren't the judge and jury. They are not. They're your relatives. They're your brothers. They're your cousins. They're your mom, your dad. That's great, right? You love them. You love them all the same. But you don't have to prove anything to them because, bro, they don't give you a prize at the end, right? So you might want to check who you're around, because if you have to prove yourself constantly to these folks, that means they're not really looking at you like they should be. Because if you get up and handle your business every day like a man, you stay out of trouble, you take care of other people when they need you, you take care of your family. What do you need to prove to these folks? Right. And so you said that it's exhausting and you feel like you're performing instead of just living in it. Now, this is what happens. When you have masculine habits, when you have positive masculine habits, it just shows. You don't have to put it on display. If somebody works out, bro, and they work out every day, normally they don't have to tell you they work out. You see it on them. As soon as you see them, you're like, man, this dude works out every day. If somebody has a lot of money, if they make really good money and they've done it for a long period of time, bro, most likely you never have to ask them about their tax return, and they don't have to tell you because you can see it on them. It might be their car, it might be their watch, it might be the house they live in, it might be the fact they seem relaxed in every financial situation, right? When you talk to them about finances, they seem to have some type of higher level of education when it comes to financial literacy. That person never has to tell you what they're doing with their finances. You can tell they have money. Okay. So when your masculinity is at a high level, bro, you have to understand you don't have to tell everybody, you don't have to put it on display. But I talk about this in the book on masculinity. Your spirituality, your honesty, your integrity, your respect levels, how you are as a father. Is your health and fitness intact, right? Are you being a good partner in your relationship? That's masculine, bro. That's masculine. So if you feel like your masculinity is not at a high level, it's probably because you're deficient in a lot of those areas I just talked about. Spirituality. How's your health and fitness? Are you showing up for your kids? Are you being a good partner? Are you being honest and showing some integrity, bro? Just in those areas alone, if you fine tune those things by just every day trying to get better at each one, you'll see your masculinity start to grow, bro, and people will start to treat you different. People will start to treat you different. I had to go through the same process. But I also had to realize that a lot of those people I was trying to prove myself to, bro, they weren't worth proving myself to. All right. So make sure you keep that in mind. Now, if you have a question or a submission for me, a situation, make sure you email me at coachmark22@gmail.com. All right. Now, let's get to the next one. Hey, man, much respect. I'm married with 2 kids, and lately I feel like I've lost my edge. I love my family, but I miss the drive I used to have. Can a man be both ambitious and present at home? And does something always have to suffer? Great question, bro. Great question. Now, you said something about losing your edge. Many men go through this, bro. And you'll hear me say this a lot. But I always want to remind you guys that you are not alone in this battle. That might be things that we don't talk about as men. But, bro, every guy has gone through a period of time where they lose their edge. They always talk about professional athletes and how when they retire or they stop playing, that they feel like they lost their edge. You understand? The reason why is because they're used to going 100 miles an hour. And now when they slow down to 30 miles an hour, they feel like they're not moving at all, right? Okay. So you feel like you've lost your edge because you're going hard with your career, but you feel like you're lacking at home. And then when you're going hard at home, being present for your kids, being present for your partner, you feel like you can't put in enough, and you can't put in as much time and energy at work. Now, let me tell you something, bro. It's rarely ever balanced. People tell you that they want balance, and people that they tell you that they look for balance, and they tell you that you can be balanced if you do these things, right? If you work from home, perhaps, or if you don't take your job too seriously, or if you do what you love, right? Bro, it's hardly ever super balanced. What you try to do is go through the periods of time. So what'll happen is for 6 months, right? You might be going hard at work and you're showing a bunch of ambition on your job and you're advancing in your career. And the people at home are suffering a bit. You're not seeing them as much. You're not as present as you used to be. But then when things start to calm down with your career, right? They just start to level out a bit. Now you can put more time in at home, right? You can show up at home more. You can take more days off. You can take a few vacations. And during that period of time, it's more energy at home with your family, right? But bro, it's never all the way balanced. It sounds great. The idea of it is awesome. I understand. But bro, that's probably not how it's going to be for you. Because every time you're going hard in one specific area, especially something huge like a career, right? Or your family, other things will suffer. That doesn't mean they have to go bad. You just won't be able to put as much energy as you need to in those areas. Now, you said something about not having your drive. I've seen that happen to a lot of guys who put a ton of time and energy into their families and their kids. Like a lot of times when guys first have children, the children are very young. You're at home a lot. You're around the kids. You're watching cartoons all day. You're playing with your kids. All of that is amazing, bro. But let's be clear. Your drive comes from your mission. Your drive comes from you doing. When you're out there producing income, bro, when you're out there just battling the world's, all the things that come with the world, that makes you feel like a man. That makes you feel productive. Okay. In primitive times, men would leave. They would go hunt, kill something, bring it back to their house. You understand what I mean? When you're not doing that, you're going to lose your drive. The human body is a beautiful thing, bro, because it gives us energy, gives us momentum, gives us everything we need when we're using it in certain ways. But if we're not, well, why wouldn't your testosterone dip? Because most likely that's what happened, bro. Your testosterone's a little low. But your testosterone may be low because of the food you're eating, because you're sitting at home more. You're not outside being as active as you maybe were before. And then mentally, bro, testosterone has a lot to do with your mental. If you're not thinking of ideas, if you're not being creative, if you're not coming up with solutions, if you're not working alongside other men to solve problems, your testosterone goes down, bro, and you lose your drive. So I'm going to tell you like I would tell anyone else, bro. You got to make sure you're in the gym. You got to make sure you're in the gym on a regular basis, bro. Not 1 or 2 times a week. You got to be doing something every day. It doesn't have to be going balls to the wall every day, but you have to get physical wins, because when you are spending more time with your family, when you are spending more time on the couch, when you are eating, more than what you would have before, you have to have those physical wins. You understand? To keep your drive. That's how it is. But just understand, most of us have gone through that period of time, if not going through it right now. All right. So great question, though, bro. Great question. So if you want to email me, please email me coachmark22@gmail.com with your question, comment, or submission. I'll get to it on these live Q&As, baby. That's what we do. You understand? So next one. Mark, I need your take on this. A lot of guys in my circle talk about being alpha, but it seems more like insecurity wrapped in bravado. Is there a difference between being dominant and being grounded? What does true masculine strength look like in today's world? That's a good question, my brother. So it's almost like it's 2 questions. All right. So you said something about guys being alpha and it looking like it's insecurity wrapped in bravado. So let's address this real fast. I do believe in alphas and betas, bro. You know what I mean? If we're just talking about alphas, I would say that they are leaders. If you remember something, when we were younger and you went out in the playground, right? Remember, we came out for recess, and most of the boys, we went to go play something: basketball, baseball, kickball, wiffle ball. We played dodgeball. Remember, we picked captains, right? And the captains picked the rest of the team. Normally, those captains were the same captains all the time, right? It was Billy, it was Jimmy, it was Steve. It was always the same guys. You know why? Because at a very young age, bro, boys can sense who the leaders are. If you have kids and they play on a football team, you can pick out, even if they're 7, 8 years old, bro, you can see the kids who are leaders, right? Most leaders are born, bro. I'm gonna just be honest with you. So when I think about an alpha, I think about someone who leads, right? And a lot of times by example. Now, a lot of times that guy who's a leader, he's also the strongest. He may be the sharpest, right? He also might have the best personality and can deal with other men better. So him being an alpha is really about him just standing out and him being the top dog, but that's normally natural. So when people talk about being alpha, I think normally if you got to say it all the time, you're probably not one, right? And also too, man, you know, to be a valuable man in today's society, you don't have to be an alpha. You don't have to be, bro. There's only one captain on a football team. It's 100 dudes. Like, you don't have to be the leader to be valuable. Okay. So if you're somebody that thinks you have to be an alpha to be valuable in today's society, bro, that's not true at all. Also, you said something about insecurity wrapped in bravado. So I don't look at that as insecure, right? I think that's the opposite of insecure. I think if you have to tell everyone you're alpha all the time, if you're always screaming it, if you're always saying, I'm the guy, I'm the guy, I'm the guy, to me, that's insecurity. But you just being an alpha, that's not insecurity to me. All right. Now, you said something about being dominant and being grounded at the same time. Again, I think you can do both. And I think a true masculine man is dominant and grounded at the same time, but dominant when he needs to be. Dominant when he needs to be. Like there's a situation, someone's hurt. We need to call for an ambulance and we need to render first aid. That's when you need to be dominant. When your kids are being unruly in your home and they're stressing out your wife, that's when you need to be dominant. When your wife is asking you to plan a date, we don't ever go anywhere, honey. I wish you would take me somewhere. That's when you need to be dominant and take control and plan a date. So you should be dominant in certain situations, but I don't think you have to be dominant all the time. Every situation does not call for that. You might be on a team of guys at work, bro, and you have a team lead and you have a supervisor. They're giving out the orders. All you got to do is follow them. You don't need to dominate that situation. Why would you need to dominate that situation, bro? Now, as far as being grounded and dominant, I think to dominate correctly, you do have to be grounded. I think so. Anybody that any sports figure that you could think of who's a champion, golf, hockey, baseball, women's tennis, I don't care what it is. They're grounded individuals. They have to be grounded. They have to be able to keep themselves calm. They have to practice daily, right? Breathing exercises, because they're intense situations all the time. You can't dominate, bro, if your adrenaline's always up and you don't know how to calm down, right? So I think you have to be grounded to dominate effectively, right? So I think those two work hand in hand, bro. I think they go hand in hand. Now, as far as masculine strength, I don't think you have to be alpha to be masculine. I do think you have to be grounded. And I do think you have to dominate when it's called for. Okay? And again, masculinity is something that you build with small daily habits every day. Small daily habits, your prayer, your breathing exercises, your meditation, right? You're being assertive when you meet people, looking people in the eye, shaking, firm handshake. And I think when you have those things intact, you will go into to me a really, really good space. And that's what's really important, is that you're in a very good masculine space and you don't have to prove it to anyone. All right. I said that earlier in response to the question I had earlier, man. You don't have to prove you're masculine to people. They just see it. That's what it is. All right. So thanks for the submission, my bro. All right. Now, if you have a submission, if you have a comment, if you have a story, a situation for me, please email me at coachmark22@gmail.com. All right. We'll come on here every day and just talk man stuff, bro. We're just going to talk man stuff. But the point is to get better. The point is to help ourselves with certain situations and understand that every time someone submits a question, I give advice on the question. There's advice in the comments. Everyone who views this is able to see the interaction. There are a lot of people who don't say anything in the chat, but they're going through the similar situation. So every time you guys comment, it makes a difference. Whenever you write in and be vulnerable and share your story, it helps a lot. All right. Now, next one is, what's up, coach? How do I lead in my relationship without being controlling and overbearing? I want to be the man, but also want to respect my woman's independence. Where's the balance between leading and partnering? That's a very good question, my brother. Very interesting, and something that everyone has to face at some point, right? Most men are going to have some type of partner, and most men are going to be faced with leadership issues from time to time. Okay. Now, in a relationship, bro, I feel as though a woman wants to feel safe and secure. Okay. She wants to feel safe and secure and comfortable. If you remember, when you first started dating your partner, she was probably more uncomfortable with you because she didn't know you, right? She didn't know how you were. She didn't know how you handled pressure. She didn't know how you were in the bedroom. She didn't know how you were when there's conflict. She didn't know you. So she was a little bit more uncomfortable. As time went forward, she became more comfortable with you. Okay. She became more comfortable with you. She was able to relax. But a lot of that had to do with how safe you made her feel, and not just physically. That is a thing. And that woman has to feel safe physically. But bro, you have to understand, she has to feel safe emotionally and even mentally. She has to know that if I come to him and tell him about a problem, he's going to listen. If I break down and cry in front of him, he's not going to bring it back up a week from now and laugh at me. If I tell him some of my deep, dark secrets, he's not going to bring them up in front of other people. And make a joke out of me. She has to feel safe. Okay. Now, with that being said, you said something about being controlling and overbearing. Well, bro, your job is to make her feel safe. Your job is to protect her. How can you protect something that you can't control? How can you make something feel safe if you can't control it? If you have kids, bro, how can you protect them if they don't have their seatbelts on and they're not in a child seat? That's a little restrictive, right? It's a little restrictive that you got a fence around your yard. But how you going to protect your pets if you don't have a fence, bro? What if a mountain lion come down on your yard? How you going to protect your pets? You don't have a fence. So you have to build that fence around your relationship, family. Now, overbearing, to me, if you have to be overbearing, you might be with the wrong partner. Because if you have to constantly tell this person where they should be going, where they shouldn't be going, who they should be hanging out with, who they shouldn't be hanging out with, if you constantly have to look on their phone to see what they were doing because they don't tell you, that seems very overbearing, sir. You might be in the wrong relationship. And if you're just feeling that setting up parameters and boundaries and things that you will not allow and you're not okay with, bro, that might seem a little controlling. But once again, if the control is so that you can protect, then it's okay. Bro, men cannot protect things they can't control. Think about that for a second. How can you protect something you can't control? It's very hard to do. So also, you said something about a woman's independence. Okay. A woman's independence. Is she with you or is she by herself? Because listen, most of these women had time to be single. Matter of fact, most of them were single from about the age of 1 to 18, 19 before they got in a serious relationship. She's had enough time, most likely. Let's just say she's 30 years old. More than half of her life, bro, she was independent. The point of hooking up with you is so that you could take care of a lot of the responsibilities that she had on herself before you, right? You're supposed to alleviate stress. You're supposed to take things off her plate. Well, bro, it's hard for you to do that. And then she remains super duper independent, right? Remember, we talked about balance a couple minutes ago. It's hard. It's very hard. It's not saying you can't try. It's very hard, though. That's like having a kid, right? Your kid's 18, 19 years old, maybe even 17, 16. They want to be independent. They want to drive on their own. They want to be out late. They want to go do stuff without you getting in their way. It's very hard to do. It's very hard to allow them to be super independent, but then you still be dad because you got to pay for stuff. You got to make sure they're safe. You got to make sure they're okay. How are you going to do that if they're just doing whatever they want? So, bro, I get it about a woman's independence and you don't want to feel too overbearing. But, bro, let me tell you something. If you lose control of your relationship, if you allow her to just go do whatever she wants all the time, if you put no boundaries and no parameters on this relationship, she will lose interest for you and gain interest for a man who has boundaries. This is what's crazy. If you have boundaries for yourself, if you have parameters for yourself, things you will do, things you will not do, things you will not stand for, bro, you have to expect that out of her in your relationship as well. You have to. And as a masculine man, bro, you're supposed to have boundaries. It's supposed to be things you will not be willing to do. It's supposed to be things that you will not. I'm not going outside my frame for certain things. I won't have it. Okay? You got to expect that out of your partner as well. Now, bro, you know if you're being too much or not. No, normally we know if we're doing too much because we've all been there. We've all done too much at some point. And we look back on it, man, why was I doing all that? Normally, if we're doing too much, you can't keep a dog that don't want to be kept. Huh? You ever try to keep a dog in your yard? He keep running away. He don't want to be kept. That doesn't mean that your fence, that something's wrong with your fence or something's wrong with your leash. You need a different dog. So if you keep going on in this situation and you feel as though this person does not respect your boundaries, does not want to be controlled, does not want you overseeing their actions and their movements, then, bro, maybe it's the wrong situation for you. Because the right woman will not make you feel controlling. The right partner will not make you feel like you're too jealous and you're doing too much. They're going to welcome it, bro. That's how I feel it goes, you know? Great submission, though, man. Great talk. Because also, man, men have an uphill battle. And although there are many books and much research that has been done in relationships, man, everyone is different. So it's hard to get it right every time. So when we as men and when we talk about relationships and issues that we're going through in our relationships, man, it really helps. So that was a real good question, bro. So make sure that if you have a submission, if you have a situation, if you have something you want me to talk about on here on these Q&As, that you email me at coachmark with a C 22@gmail.com. All right. Now, the last one for the day, fellas. Quick question for you, brother. What's your opinion on emotional expression as a man? I grew up being told to man up, and now I feel disconnected from my feelings. Can you be masculine and still vulnerable? Wow. That's a real good one, dog. I'm gonna be honest with you. Even using the word vulnerable in the question is huge. All right. So, as I always say, bro, you're not alone. Most of us deal with having issues, having things that arise that we want to show some feeling about, and we can, right? I have sons, man. 4 sons. Oldest one 26, youngest one is 5. So wide range of ages, different experiences with all of them, right? So I'm the type of dad that, yeah, you gotta suck it up because it ain't that serious. Suck it up, it ain't that serious. You're not bleeding, you can walk, it ain't that serious, bro. You know what I'm saying? Now, do I always do a great job of allowing them to express their feelings the way they want to? Maybe I don't. But the one thing I've learned in life is that people are not going to give you excuses for failure because of how you feel. They're not going to give you excuses for mistakes based on how you feel, especially as a man, right? So when it comes to our feelings, I heard a great quote by a guy one time. He said, when there's facts, there's no feelings. There's no feelings in facts. You understand? And there's a lot of situations we go through in life that are just plain facts. And you can't add feelings. Because if you start adding feelings, the facts start to get funny, right? Prime example. It's going to snow today. It's going to snow today, 6 inches. I don't care how you feel about it, about the snow, fam. I don't care how you feel about the cold. I don't care if you want to go to work or not. It's still going to snow. Where there's facts, there's no feelings. Okay. So how I parent my boys and how I've been shown the world is going to treat men is that we're not allowed to put the feelings before the facts. So when you said something about being disconnected from your feelings, that's the thought that comes to my mind, is that we do have to disconnect from our feelings as a man. Because, bro, if we're all caught up in how we feel about stuff, we'll never get anything done. We will never get anything done. Now, how can you be masculine and still vulnerable? Okay. I think you can be vulnerable because we all have sweet spots. Just like I talked about, I have 4 kids, bro. I got 2 grandkids, right? So I'm vulnerable when it comes to them because I'm going to allow them to get away with things I wouldn't let other people get away with, bro. If something happens to them, I'm going to feel some type of way. I'm vulnerable when it comes to them. But I also have to check that at the door, meaning this. I might be disappointed at one of them for not calling me back. I called them a week ago. They ain't called me back yet. But that can't stop me from being a good dad. You understand? I might feel some type of way about how my boss said, hey, yo, I need you in here at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, my boy. Hey, I'm not really feeling that, man. I got stuff to do on Saturday. But do I want the overtime or do I not? Do I need my job or do I not? Do me and my lady have financial goals or do we not? So I can't allow the vulnerability to get in the middle of what I got to do. You can be vulnerable. But I also feel like, bro, when we know that we are, we got to have a hold on that. Just like we got to hold on everything else. If we know we're susceptible to, getting beside ourselves financially, if we go on trips, then we have to check that before we go on the trip, because we don't want to come back and we was at the casino and blew 10,000. You already knew you were vulnerable to stuff like that, bro. So you can be vulnerable, but you have to have a hold on it. And absolutely, I think any masculine man has things that he knows can make him feel emotional, can make him get emotional. You're not human if you don't. Part of being masculine, bro, is volunteer work. Well, you have to have some type of emotions to want to do volunteer work. How can you do volunteer work if you don't care about anybody else? So a masculine man has to have some emotions and some feelings and some vulnerabilities for him to volunteer and be a true masculine man. That's just one of the things that make you a masculine man. I feel as though expressing your feelings and telling the world about how you hate that it's going to snow today, most people don't care about your feelings, especially when it comes to facts. They don't care about your feelings, bro. I feel like when you meditate, when you pray, when you take those long walks by yourself, when you spend time in nature, that's when you process your feelings. That's when you talk through your feelings. That's when you identify with them and see, okay, am I right for feeling this way? Am I wrong for feeling this way? A lot of times when you talk through your feelings by doing some of those relaxation practices, you're able to work through them and your feelings don't become a big part of you. You don't want to be the guy that they say, oh, he's so emotional. Every time something happens, he crashes out. Every time he goes through it with his wife, he's no good at work. He's so emotional. Normally, that guy does not have relaxation practices, bro. Normally, that guy is not super grounded. So it's great to have feelings. It's great to be vulnerable, right? It's great to express your emotions. You just can't let your emotions control you. Like you could say, I'm really mad that it's going to snow today. but your emotions controlling you would make you say, now I'm not going outside. I'm not shoveling my driveway and I'm not going to work. That would be your emotions controlling you. But it's okay to express that you don't really like it that it's going to snow. Okay? A masculine man has feelings, a masculine man has emotions. But what that masculine man does is, because he has certain relaxation practices he involves himself with daily, he is able to process them on a daily basis and get through those emotions so that he can be productive. Because, bro, we were put here to be productive. That doesn't mean you got to be on 100 miles an hour at a time, bro. But you're supposed to be productive in your family, in your community, in society. All right? But that was a really good question, bro. And actually, I feel like, with a lot of us who grew up with fathers in the home, we weren't able to express our feelings all like that, which I'm like, still the jury's out on that one, man, because I think a lot of the issue that we have as men now is we got too many dudes letting their emotions take over, right? And come before the facts. And I think that's why we have lazy men. That's why we're not being as productive as we can as men. Our masculinity has dipped because of that. Our testosterone as a whole is down, right? Compared to past years, because our emotions are getting in the way. Man, back in the day, bro, they didn't care if it was going to snow. They're going to work. You know what I'm saying? They weren't sitting on the couch all day. So you go through that years and years, months and months. It makes a difference, man. It does. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in today, man. It is your boy, Mark My Words. Now, understand something. These Q&As will happen every morning, okay? These Q&As will happen every morning. So make sure you share the live. Make sure you come on in. Make sure you express yourself in the chat, man. And listen, even if you just come in and listen, even if you just come in and pay attention and think about the questions, bro, think about the advice and implement them into your life. That's what it's about. We're on here to get better, right? Now, I know you guys probably don't think that I get any better by doing this, but it actually helps me as a coach. It actually helps me as a coach to go through people's problems, go through people's situations. I learn about people's situations. I learn how to give better advice, learn how to communicate a little bit better. So it really helps me when people write in with their situation, and makes me feel good to help people out. Because, bro, we all remember a time when we didn't have the internet. So we didn't have access to just go on our phones, turn on a show or turn on a live and get real life advice. And that's what I'm on here to do. So as you'll see in the description, bro, if you are a guy who is going through certain situations like this, right, and things are just getting dicey, or you just can't move forward, you're nothing like you used to be, or you want to be better than what you were before, and you just don't feel like you're able to get to that point, go down in the description, book a call with me, bro. We'll do a consultation. We'll see if we can establish a relationship where we meet maybe once a week, maybe twice a week, maybe it's twice a month, maybe it's once a month, right? Just to help you start to get on that upward trajectory. Okay. Start to build some skills, some habits, so that you can take yourself to the highest heights, be your best self, and become your most masculine self. And be productive, bro, in your family and in your society. That's what we're here to do. All right. So go down in the description, book a call with me. You can email me at coachmark22@gmail.com. That is coachmark with a C 22@gmail.com. Put your question in. You don't have to add your name. You don't have to add your location. Hey, bro, I'm going through this situation. Can you put it up on a Q&A so I can see how everybody feels about it? All right. That's what we're going to do. So I will be back tomorrow, as always. All right. With more questions, more submissions, and more things that we could talk about as men. All right. So make sure you come back and holler at me. If for some reason you can't get on here when I'm on here live, the live will be on my page. So make sure you hit the notification bell so that you get the notifications, like and subscribe to the channel. And as always, man, I appreciate your time. Your time is valuable, and so is mine. So when you spend it with me, I appreciate that to the highest degree. All right. It is your boy, Mark My Words. Oh.